Yeah.
I'm really interested in that parallel that you've just described of childbirth and labor and going through that really scary process, very physical process and very necessary process. When you're pregnant, you're going to go through to the other side. There's no stopping that. A little bit like menopause, once we start our periods, there's going to come a time when we stop them, and we're not in control of that, and we're not in control of labor mostly. So describe what is that feeling like? How do you see that parallel that you were talking about just now?
So my experience of childbirth was that when I went into labor, there was a kind of process that the body was doing away, and then there's a point called transition, when the head engages to come through the birth canal, and it suddenly feels completely different. And for me, there was a real sense of, oh, I knew I could do it up to this point, and now I can't do it. I'm out of control. My body's just completely taken over, and I have to just give into it. And the fear of that, and the sense of it, the sense of having to surrender to my body, really, which wasn't something that I had picked up in my antenatal thing.
Yeah.
And this sense of my body knows what it's doing. And I just have to relax and let it happen. I think there's a parallel there for me, and with that and menopause. That if I thought I could trust my body, that it knew what it was doing, that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
And that surrender to my body is not some terrible, frightening thing, but a kind of wisdom that I just didn't realize I could be in touch with. I think if you're in a world where there's a lot of medical intervention that's a particular model, it's about dealing with the problems when they come up. And so where there's a really difficult problem that medicine can help, that's brilliant. But sometimes that can actually interfere with what could happen if I trusted myself.
Yeah. Okay. That's really powerful to hear. Really powerful to hear that there is a trust. And I know this is your experience, and I'm certainly not saying everyone should feel this or can feel this or is missing something if they don't feel this. But I think it's potentially quite inspiring to hear of that sense of talking about agency before and being in touch with that. And you mentioned that with wisdom, surrendering to something and trusting that you're going to be okay as you let go. That's a huge skill, I think, as we go through menopause.
And when if you only do something once as well, it's very difficult to get it.
Yes.
I mean, what I would say is that having given birth 3 times, it was on the 3rd time that I got to the stage of, instead of getting frightened and closing up and fighting against what my body's doing, I have to relax into it and trust that my body knows what it's doing and allow it. And that's so I had 3 goes at that, and you'll get 3 goes at the menopause.
I was just thinking that's possibly not what we want, is it?
But it's possible that if you've had that experience of trusting your body before, in some other context, that might be helpful.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We can draw on those experiences. We know what that feeling, because it's going to be very individual. It's going to be unique to us, isn't it? We all have our own way.
Yeah, and just that thing of, if you're already had difficult experiences in your body with your cycles or with with things to do with related to menopause, that's probably going to make it more difficult to trust and surrender. But if you don't even know it's possible, you don't even know that that's a way to do it, that there is only this way or that way, then you have limited options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's brilliant. Thanks for sharing that with us. I think that's beautiful, just beautiful.